I have atrial fibrillation. The atrium is the top part of the heart, and AFib is when it gets out of sync and the blood pools in the top part of the heart, and it can cause a stroke. It's very dangerous. And I was taking medicine for that, two different medicines that raised my blood sugar. And when I went keto and then ketovore, I slowly deprescribed myself with the assistance of my cardiologist. I slowly took myself off those medicines.
If you've been watching, you know that I take my ingredients very seriously, but there are 3 companies that I have found that I absolutely love. Check the description for discount codes. Hello, welcome to my show. My name is Adrienne. This is a series where I interview different people who've inspired me to live a healthier life. Today, I have my friend John with me. You can find him at Carnivore Teacher on YouTube and Carnivore Teacher John on Instagram. So today, John's going to tell us our story, and then we're going to chit chat. He is a wonderful person to come to learn all the things of carnivore as a teacher. That's what he does. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being here and sharing my story. I do.
Well, I've been really excited to have this interview. We actually got to meet in person at Hack Your Health, and
Mhm.
you gave me your little
Oh,
coin.
yeah.
I thought, this is so creative. And I've been watching some of your videos. You really do teach people of every single topic. There was recently the addiction topic. You've talked about the different versions of carnivore. We can go into that, which one you're at currently. And so definitely check out his channel, which we'll go into later. But so thank you so much for being here. Could you tell us, how did you get here? How did you get to carnivore?
Oh boy. How did I come to carnivore? Well, um, let's see. We're going on 6 years almost. This January will be 6 years on low carb. I've been carnivore going on 2 years. So what I did was like many other times in my life, in my 30s and my 40s, I was overweight. Most people come to ketovore or carnivore because they want to lose weight. And I was one of those people. And I had tried many diets and they were successful. I lost the weight on a lot of them. A lot of them were, restrict and, exercise a lot. And they worked until they stopped working because you go off of it and you go back to eating what you ate before. And that's what I did. And I always put on the same amount of weight that I lost. And then there was always a little bit more. So I never heard of keto before. It was a new phrase to me almost 6 years ago. So I did a little Googling. I found a YouTube channel. I found Thomas DeLauer. I don't know if you know him. And he was standing at a whiteboard. So here's this muscular, good looking, healthy looking dude, young, very intellectual with an amazing vocabulary on a whiteboard. This is how you start keto. These are the foods you can eat. These are the foods you stay away from. This is what it does. This is what a macronutrient is. These are the three I was being educated by a teacher about how to eat. And I never heard this information from any of the other diets. This was teaching me nutrition and teaching me how to eat. And so keto, of course, is not just animal products, but it's also vegetables, nuts, seeds, and a little bit of fruit. So I thought, well, I'm cutting out all starches and sugars and carbs as much as possible. I can do this. And that's how I started. And within a few weeks, I noticed weight loss. And within a few months, I lost everything I needed to lose, 35 pounds gone. I had to buy new clothes. Then I had to buy new clothes again. And it was amazing. And I thought that was the only purpose of the diet. But I also started feeling amazing, like emotional high. I used to have depression and mood swings, highs and lows. It all disappeared. I noticed my lower back pain. I had persistent chronic lower back pain. Never knew what it was from. Thought I pulled a muscle, but it would come back constantly. And that disappeared and stayed away. And I thought, what the heck is going on here? This is amazing. So, of course, because of these amazing benefits, other than weight loss, one video led to another video, which led to another person, Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Robert Sivas, Dr. Anthony Chafee, Dr. Sten Ekberg, Kim Howerton. There's so many. I have a long YouTube list on my tabs when I pull up YouTube now of all my teachers, and they all come at it from a different angle. And I very slowly, I watched a few a day and I had aha moments coming out of my ears left and right, like, oh my gosh, I never knew this. I would start jotting them down on my phone in my notes. And I'm a middle school teacher. I retired, but I taught for 34 years, middle school students, sixth, seventh, and eighth graders. Being a teacher, I can't keep my mouth shut. I had to start a YouTube channel and start talking about this because it wasn't just teaching about something from a book. This is something that changed my life for the better, not just the weight loss, but so many wonderful things. And that's how I started a YouTube channel. Then, 1 year into going keto, that means I was eating a lot of nuts, a lot of seeds. I was eating broccoli, asparagus, drinking coffee, coconut oil, coconut, all the things you're allowed to have on keto as long as it was, keep my macronutrients within range. My carbs had to be 20 total grams or lower per day. I got a kidney stone. I had never had a problem with my kidneys in my life, and I had to go to the hospital. So after that extremely painful passing of the kidney stone, of course, I Googled and I learned what a calcium oxalate kidney stone is and where it came from. And I realized that when I went keto, I added so many plants to my way of eating, not just meats. I was eating a lot of spinach salads. I was making these shakes with chia seeds and cinnamon and turmeric. And I was just throwing everything that was high oxalate in there. I was eating a lot of dark chocolate that I made myself, that I sweetened with monk fruit. And I didn't realize that I had oxalate toxicity and gave myself a kidney stone. So, learning curve for me, I learned everything the hard way. And I started to slowly pull myself off of all the oxalates. And I had to dump every 3 months, I would have an episode, not a kidney stone, but I would have other oxalate dumping episodes that I realized after educating myself why I had these until I'm slowly getting these out of my body. It was from all of the plants that I had all my life, but also the enormous amounts that I added when I went keto. So, of course, that's when I call myself going into ketovore. Now, ketovore was a word that was created by Nisha Berry, which is Dr. Ken Berry's wife. And it's between carnivore and keto. And it's basically, I think it's 10 total grams of carbohydrates or less. And you maybe have a little bit of vegetables on your plate for dinner, maybe a cup of coffee, a little mustard, and maybe a few spices, just way less plants than when I was keto. I did that for 3 years, felt even better, felt phenomenal. I'm like, why am I feeling even better taking out all these plants? So after watching Dr. Anthony Chafee, who's the plant-free MD, he's total carnivore. I'm like, well, I'm almost there. Let's just take out the rest and see what it feels like. And if I don't notice a difference, I'll go back and have some more plants. So I took out the coffee. Took me a while to stop that, but I did it. I took out the avocado that I had every day because I thought I needed it for the potassium and the fiber, which I learned I don't need. And I stopped the rest of the plants, everything, spices. And I went just beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fish, eggs. And then, of course, no vegetable oils, no seed oils. I stopped that at keto, but I only cook in butter and beef tallow and bacon fat. And boom, another skyrocket of health benefits. I noticed I felt even better. I'm like, how could this possibly make me feel, sleep, function, think better than even ketovore? And it did. And so that's how I became a carnivore. I kind of did it unknowingly 1 year, 3 years, and then almost 2 years ago, I switched to carnivore. I'm not going back. Once you taste it, once you realize the benefits, it's hard to go back. You just don't want to do it. So that in a nutshell, there's many more details, but that's how I became carnivore as of today.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like I can't go back. And I have a friend who just started. She's only 2 weeks in and she's like, "I don't know if I can hack it." And I'm like, "It's okay. Like, take the pressure off."
Yeah.
And she asked like, "Do you think you'll ever go back?" "No, because this is the best I've ever felt." So Did you have any other conditions that kinda cleared up? Did you ever have any mental health? Did you have any heart? Did you have any blood pressure? Any diabetes?
Blood pressure was up a little bit, not to the point where I needed medication, but I noticed because I have my own blood pressure cuff, my blood pressure's down because my arteries are more malleable because they're not glycated with sugar. But I found that out through research why it's down. I mentioned my lower back. That was a big one. I had chronic inappropriate inflammation from all the seed oils from the standard American diet and sugar, and it showed up in my lower back. That's my weak spot. And that disappeared, which is amazing. Mental health, I would get depressed from time to time. I would have mood swings, and that's gone, completely gone. I went through some really sad times with my parents the last couple of years. My father was diagnosed with ALS and he went down here real fast and he died. And then a year later, my mother had bladder cancer and then she died. And I thought to myself, how am I handling this? It was sad. I cried because of the deaths and everything, but it was not, I noticed it was not the same. I would have been a freaking mess. I would have been emotions all over the place and lashing out at people and just having mood swings. And it didn't happen. I was really calm and level and stable through those terrible times in my life. That's kind of when I really noticed how this can improve your mood and your self-control and your conscious your identity and your confidence is improved. And I just noticed all of that improved. The guy that you met at Hack Your Health is not the guy you would have met a couple years before that. I was outgoing and confident, and I didn't have that. I was very shy. I'm kind of an introvert anyway, but I was very introverted before this. So this has helped me feel confident. It's improved my mood. Oh, little things. I had skin tags, which is a sign of insulin resistance. I had, some acne that I don't get anymore. What else did I used to have? Oh, I'm going to still say I have atrial fibrillation. The atrium is the top part of the heart. And AFib is when it gets out of sync and the blood pools in the top part of the heart, and it can cause a stroke. It's very dangerous. And I was taking medicine for that, two different medicines that raised my blood sugar. And when I went keto and then ketovore, I slowly deprescribed myself with the assistance of my cardiologist. I slowly took myself off those medicines to see if I would stay in sinus rhythm and not go into AFib, and I did. So, talking to Dr. Sean Baker, I brought this up, and he seems to think that, it's possible that the part of my heart that was having the misfirings are repairing themselves because I'm eating the proper human diet. We
And
don't
you're
really,
not inflamed.
and I'm not inflamed. So I think inflammation, oxidative stress is the big one that causes all these issues for people. And that's all gone because I'm not putting that stuff in my body.
Well, I am so sorry for your loss of your parents.
So
But I feel the same way. It's the craziest thing. The same things that used to knock me down emotionally for maybe days, maybe weeks. Now it's minutes. Like it's still there. It's still a real thing.
yeah.
But then somehow we go into positivity, which is why I think meetups are so wonderful. So many people, including myself, I will go to a meetup not knowing a single human being, and somehow it's a darn good time.
We have that common. We have that in common. That we have something in common. We're like war buddies. We've been through it all. We have a lot of similar experiences. We want to share our experiences with each other because we're having success and we're happy about it. That's why we have such a great time at these events. I've been to several of them. Hack Your Health. That last one was the best I've ever been to.
Are you coming to Florida?
Yes, I've already bought my ticket.
Awesome. Me too.
I live in Florida, so it's just a drive. I'm going to drive over to Tampa, and I just have to pay for the hotel, so it's going to be a lot cheaper without the plane ticket. So I'm happy about that.
That is awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
my friend Ellie lives in Florida too. She's coming on over and
yeah,
it's going to be a great time.
great.
So tell us about like the day-to-day life. Like how do you now I remember hearing that you are now a retired teacher.
Mm.
How do you afford eating this way? People think this is so expensive and it's crazy. How do you afford it?
Good question. And I get that question a lot. It's too expensive. Well, ground beef, okay, butter, It's not very expensive to have ground beef and butter. There's a lot of healthy foods that we can order that are in the beef, lamb, pork, poultry, fish, and eggs category. Eggs are not that expensive. Now I buy the more expensive eggs. I buy pasture raised, but there's so much in an egg, so much nutrition in a pasture raised egg. And there's so much nutrition in fatty red meat. And it doesn't have to be expensive meat. People who are really restricted, I mean, you can have, if you read the ingredients, you can have hot dogs and sausages and lunch meat. It's not the best, but it's way better than a sandwich, peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or something from a vending machine. It's processed meat, but it's not. If you can find a lot of clean processed meat, so it doesn't have to be expensive. I'm living off of a pension because I've taught many years, my whole career. So I do receive a pension. I'm really blessed and lucky to have that. I also saved a lot of money while I was teaching, so I knew that I could retire at a certain age. I retired at 57. I'm 59 years old now. And I am actually saving money at the grocery store. I'm not spending money on Doritos and cereal and ice cream and the Klondike bars and Pop Tarts and all the crap I used to eat. I eat 2 meals a day, and I eat until it stops tasting good, till I'm full. And I don't really want a snack. So it's actually, even though a steak costs more than mac and cheese, when you eat mac and cheese, you're not just eating the mac and cheese, you're eating all this other crap because it's not filling you up and it's stimulating more hunger. When I have, every once in a while, we'll have a ribeye, outside skirt steak. But most of the time, it's a cheaper steak, or it's ground beef, or it's, we have chicken. What are we having tonight? Tonight is a porterhouse that got on sale. I look for sales before, during, and after holidays. You're going to find meats on sale. And it's not that expensive. It really isn't, because you're saving money not only on that, but you're saving money on medical expenses. You're saving money on, like, I don't buy things to put on my body anymore. I don't put creams and lotions and deodorants and suntan lotion. I use tallow soap, and I use just a plain deodorant that doesn't have I'm saving money in that area too, because I've learned about, I don't buy bottled water. So many changes, not even in the food category. I made a lot of other little changes that I learned along the way that are making me healthier. They're making me spend less money, believe it or not.
Mhm.
Even if I spent more money, I'd be investing in myself, in my health, in my long-term health, but I'm not. I'm not spending a lot of money. So it is affordable. I could tell you from a retired guy who's living on a pension, believe me, it's affordable.
I recently made my husband a recipe. He loves this Olive Garden soup, and the ingredients in the soup were
Mhm.
$120 because you gotta buy all the
How much
spices.
soup?
It was a pot of soup,
a
but
hundred
it needed these
dollars.
spices and it needed all this and all that, and, you never reuse those things, and they're just sitting there in your cupboards,
Oh
and
my
it
gosh.
was so expensive to just make this soup.
Can I share my soup recipe with you?
Is it beef and water and salt?
It's close. It's the most amazing. I just created it. I made a video on it. My
Yeah,
bone broth,
tell
my
us. Tell
my
us about
bone.
the
All
soup.
right, my bone broth soup. So every time we have a T-bone steak, a bone-in ribeye, tonight's porterhouse. Anytime there's bones left over, they go in a bag. They go in my freezer until the bag gets full. A big bag, a freezer bag. When the bag gets full, I take out my crock pot. I take it outside on the porch. I plug it in for 12 hours on high. I fill it up with filtered water, and I put some salt in there, and I let it just cook, bones and water and salt, for 12 hours. And when it's done, I take a strainer, I go out into the back, the side, and I take my mason jars and I take all the bones out, and I just pour them into the mason jars, put them in the refrigerator. The next day, I've got a lip of fat at the top that I can use. That's beef tallow. And then I have this amazing gelatin bone
Mhm.
broth. It's jiggly. That's all the collagen that came out of the bones. It is so freaking healthy for you. So I take that. I have jars of it in my refrigerator right now. I take that. I put some in the pot on the stove. I bring it up to not a boil but a simmer. Then I take 4 pasture-raised eggs. I break them in there. I let the bone broth cook the eggs. Oh, it's
Mhm.
so good. I add a little more salt, I will put anything left over from the night before. So if it's lamb, if it's beef, if it's ground beef, even little pieces of salmon. Salmon makes it taste really good. Or shrimp. I cut it up. I put that in there. I mix that all up. And then to top it off, I put like 2 or 3 tablespoons of butter. All right. I let that melt in there. I pour that into my bowl. It is the most amazing, delicious soup I've ever tasted, out or in restaurant, home, can. It's delicious. I should sell it.
That
Yeah.
does sound
It's
amazing.
good. And I just, let me try this, let me try that, let me try that. And I've come up with this little thing I do like a couple times a week. And that's my lunch a couple times a week, is a bone broth soup. And you can put anything in it, but that bone broth is the base. It's not expensive because you've got
No,
all
you
these, you're
reused.
reusing it, all the stuff that's left over. I never throw meat out. I can always cut it up and use it the next day for other things. And if I don't have meat, I cook up some ground beef, and then I throw the ground beef in there with all the fat. I used to throw fat away. Now I'm eating all the fat and adding more fat. It's so delicious, and I know that didn't cost $100.
When I first started this, I was buying beef suet from a
Oh yeah,
butcher,
you
and then I
can.
was rendering it down and canning some tallow, and I just kept doing that.
All right.
Now, I haven't done that in like a year because I just keep my beef drippings. Like if I
Yeah,
air fry something, I pour those beef drippings in and they are the most tasty. So I like hardly buy fat anymore because we're reusing
and
and I
that
save my
yeah,
bones too.
and that
Reuse
and that beef drippings has all the flavor. If it's
the
bacon, if it's
flavor. It's so
whatever it is,
good.
that's what makes all of our meats taste good, is the fat that's in them. We're both of us are just smiling ear to ear because we're talking about our food that we love that makes us feel great.
And it lasts for so long. I swear, I'm grocery shopping, like, maybe twice a month, and I have 4 kids.
Oh wow, good.
Because we same thing, like, maybe let's say I cook 4 steaks and there's leftovers or 6 steaks, I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah.
We save it and we eat it for lunch the next day.
It goes, you don't throw it out like you're throwing lettuce, and
Yeah.
all the plant stuff starts to go bad in the refrigerator. Because the gases develop, and then it starts to ferment, it starts to stink. And you get that with meat, which means it doesn't happen in our intestines or our colon either, right? That's what plants and legumes do in your cuts. That's why people who are eating lots of plants and legumes are getting smelly gas and bloating. It's the same thing that happens in the containers in the refrigerator. You think about it.
I
Yeah,
was just talking to Doctor Chafee too. He said that the fiber actually slows your digestion.
it does.
So here we think, "Oh, we're making better stools," and no, you're making it worse on top of the fermenting that's happening in your gut.
People see their stool and they see that it's big and it's frequent, and they think that's healthy. And it's also what they're used to having all their life. And so when they go carnivore and they stop having these gigantic frequent stools, they think something's wrong. And they have to understand, no, we're not supposed to have those kinds of stools. They're supposed to be, less frequent, and certainly not gassy and smelly and bloating. And that's another benefit of eating carnivore, is your body's absorbing all the nutrition. There's very little waste. No, there's
Mhm,
very little waste, and the waste is it's the cell linings in your intestines and your walls,
mhm.
and it's we're not eating fiber, so it's just we're absorbing everything. Talk about being efficient, right? When you're buying food, you're buying it, you're eating it, you're absorbing most of it. It's great.
So I should have prepped you for this question, but hopefully, since you're a teacher, you can give us a good answer.
I'll try.
I would love to talk about, as a teacher, you got to see every day the free breakfast and the paid for lunch. And I only recently saw what it is, and it's so commercialized. And I'm wondering if you've seen that. What were you seeing? Because we talked earlier about peanut butter and jelly. That's a pretty common thing that a parent would make. What's wrong with peanut butter jelly? What's wrong with some of the food?
Oh gosh. Where do I start? I'll try to keep it brief. Okay, I taught in public middle school. They serve a free breakfast, and for some kids who are eligible, a free or reduced lunch. And the breakfast is it's French toast sticks, breaded, deep fried in peanut oil, sprinkled with confectioner sugar and then syrup. Okay, and it probably has egg coating on the outside, but it's
Or egg flavored something.
Right, it's something on the outside. So it's breaded, it's deep fried, it's sprinkled with confection sugar, and then, syrup. Then they have a little package of like cranberry something flavored. They're almost like gummy bears. And they all threw them across the cafeteria. They didn't eat them anyway. Juice boxes, skim milk. They didn't have any whole milk at all. They all went to 2% and skim. Like they had a choice between 1 or 2% or skim. There wasn't even any whole milk anymore. They had, the juice boxes of the different juices. So, and then the kids out of their backpack would pull out their bags of candy and their bags of junk that they would bring from home. And we had to have, we would have morning duty. Some of the teachers, we'd had to take turns, or we had lunch duty, or we had to go pick our kids up from lunch and escort them back to class. And I saw with my own eyes all the trays, all the plates, and it's nauseating. No, I thought it was nauseating before I even went keto, ketovore, or carnivore. I thought I would never eat this food. I used to only buy the salads at the salad bar in the cafeteria and squeezing all the seed oil dressing on it. But I didn't know any better back then. But I thought I was eating healthier. The crap that these kids are fed is absolutely disgusting, right? They'll have fried chicken sometimes, but of course it's all breaded and deep fried in the peanut oil. And the spaghetti, the macaroni, it's terrible. It's absolutely horrible. And then we're sending them back into the classroom to try to sit and concentrate. And their poor little bodies, their insulin, their sugar, their glucagon, it's going haywire, along with their estrogen and their testosterone, because they're going through adolescence. They're going through puberty. I mean, it was so obvious these kids were just wired. When we would have testing every year, they would give us in our testing bag all the testing materials, and then they would give us snacks to give the kids. They would give us mints, because the peppermint is supposed to stimulate your brain. Well, it was all sugar. So we were giving the kids sugar. They'd fall asleep afterwards. There's just so many things wrong. And I felt frustrated because I can't do anything. It's not my place. I'm not in control. I'm not the cafeteria manager. I'm not the principal. Every once in a while, my students, the topic of food would come up and I would tell them what I eat. And they looked at me like I was from Mars. Like, you don't eat any sugar? You don't eat any bread? Oh, Mr. Ospina, I don't know how you do that. And, it's kind of sad. So
if you could swap those foods out, because now you've just told us like the nightmare that is happening, and this is happening all over the country because most of the lunch programs are national. We're being subsidized to have these foods. And the reason that I think we're doing it is because it'd be 1 second.
It's all right. Let him in. It makes a good video. Hey, fella. What's his name?
This is Volmer.
Volmer, that's a unique name.
Yeah, we named him after a friend.
I like unique names. Being a John, I like unique names.
Yeah, my mother-in-law's horrified.
What, Volmer? I
love our friend Volmer. But buddy, you have to do that in the other room. But if you could make swaps for kids, would you send a peanut butter and jelly, or what would be better?
No, absolutely not. Peanuts are legumes. It's a bean, and it's inflammatory, and it's genetically modified, and it has mold. And of course, they're adding seed oils to regular peanut butter. It's very hard to find that other kind of peanut butter. And jelly is just all sugar, and it's on bread, which is starch, which turns into sugar. People think it's protein. It's protein, right? Which there's some protein in there. Yes, there is. I would say there's 10 other bad things to that one good thing in there. So, all right, I'll tell you what I took for lunch when I ate, and what kids could probably take to lunch. You have to think. You have to prep the night before. Years ago, before cafeteria, kids often came to school with lunch boxes and bags of lunch. I had a lunch box. I had a Laugh-In lunchbox, metal one that opened up with the thermos and with the whole milk in there and everything. And my mother would make me things and put them in there. So it can be done. You have to think the night before. So I would take my leftover meat from the night before. I actually kind of made a bone broth soup at school, but I put them in glass jars. I packed this little bag. I took it into school. I microwaved everything. And I kind of made my own little thing that I inhaled in the 30 minutes that they give us for lunch. But, kids can take in cheese and lunch meat. And there's, not Lunchables, because that's full of crap. But you can make, even what I took to a party the other day, I took skirt steak, We cooked it on the grill. We let it cool. The next day, we cut it up into pieces, put it on a plate with cheese, hard-boiled eggs. Absolutely delicious. And you can make your own mayonnaise with bacon or butter mayonnaise. Um, that's so healthy. There are alternatives that are so healthy for you, but you do have to prep for them. You have to make them ahead of time. You have to pack little freezies in the bag so they don't go, they don't get too warm while they're waiting for lunch, but it can be done.
I've been throwing a steak in the air fryer every morning and then sending that with them,
There you go.
eggs, chicken, meatballs. And then this is where we can go back to and rely on some of those processed meats.
Yeah.
Even though that's not optimal, it's something they will eat. It's better than peanut butter and jelly. It's better than the processed school lunches. We can rely on that. So, do you have any tips for us for eating out? Do you ever go out to eat?
Oh boy. Okay, my eating out talk. I was just on a cruise. So we cruise a lot in South Florida because the ports are so close and we get a Florida discount and you get to go see all these cool countries. So I'm eating on the ship. All right, there's food everywhere. But even when I go into a restaurant, I do the same procedure. I have the menu, I look for the meat. I always find a steak. If it's a cheaper restaurant, I'm getting a hamburger. And as soon as it's time for them to come around to me and say, hello, I have a vegetable seed oil allergy. You have to speak their language. That's anything that comes from a plant. So it's canola, it's corn oil, it's soybean oil, it's safflower oil, it's margarine, it's the spread. I have to have real butter. Can you cook my steak in real butter? Can you put it on a separate pan or not put seed oil on the grill? So I have a discussion with the server, and so many times the cook walks out and talks to me. Who's the person with the oil, with the, and then they want clarification, which makes me feel good. And I know they're going to cook it the way I want it. So I get a steak and I just say, please put the meat on the plate. I don't want anything else. Don't put any sides. Don't put any. Are you sure you don't want the broth? No. You sure? Are you sure you could give it to somebody? Just put the meat on the plate. And I get my way, but sometimes I have to push it a lot. And I'm fairly confident because I'm very stern about it. This is my money. It's my food. They need to do it my way. And when they hear the word allergy, most of them are thinking lawsuit. I don't want to have somebody choke. So they're very willing to help you. And so that's how I eat out. And I eat a steak or a hamburger when I go out. And I usually am not satisfied because I really should have to pay for two to eat the amount that I would eat at home because they're giving you a portion based on, you're also getting all this other crap with it, right? And I'm just getting the meat. So when I eat out, I'm usually not satisfied and I don't want to spend double. I don't know. How about you?
Same here.
Yeah.
Same here. I like to pick restaurants where I know they will let me order just burger patties like Buffalo Wild Wings,
Oh,
Applebee's.
there you go.
But I know at Applebee's, the rest of my family's only going to get a meal this big and it's going to be $75. Like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. You're
so
right.
you win some, you lose some.
Yeah. Eating out is not,
I
it's,
just prefer to eat home at this point.
I eat home more now than I ever have in my entire life. Yeah, I used to look forward to going out to dinner Friday nights after a long week of work, and then we'd go Saturday also to treat ourselves. And I ate everything in sight. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm real picky. And when I have to go out, now it's a chore. I'm like, oh, we have a gathering, we have a birthday. All right, so I'll pull the menu up way ahead of time and think, all right, what can I get? I'm looking online here. All right, now I know what I'm going to order when I go in there and I feel confident. And I'm going to celebrate their birthday. I'm not going to eat, even though I'm going to eat. It's a different mentality. You don't go. Food is not a reward. It's not a drug. It's not a pleasure anymore. No matter where you eat it, it's nutrition. And I want to make sure I'm getting the best I can and not crap. To me, seed oil, I'd rather eat sugar. I'd rather eat some starch than to put any seed oil in my body. My body can recognize sugar and starch. My body does not recognize the machine lubricant, canola oil or soybean oil. So that's my big stink when I go into a restaurant. It's all about the seed oil. I can control everything else. I can't control what they're throwing on the grill or rubbing on the meat behind the door there. So I have to speak up.
And it's concerning the shelf life in your body. Is it like 7 years?
What did I hear? I heard 4 or 5 years to get all of the seed oils out. But then I don't know if that's correct. I heard 4. So I notice a difference because I don't get a sunburn in the South Florida sun anymore. I get tan and I can stay out longer. So I know my skin cells are different, are healthier for sure.
I've burnt my whole life. I've been the red girl. No
Oh,
more. I'm like literally
isn't
getting tan.
that's
It's
amazing.
so wonderful. I stopped wearing the sunglasses too.
I started to stop doing that too. When I was at my sister and brother's last July or June. When was it? July. And we were in New Jersey. And my brother is 3 years younger than I. And we were talking about our parents. We were all sharing memories about my parents. And my parents had to wear dark glasses all the time. And my brother's like, I have to start doing that now. It's starting to bother me. And I said, you know what? I know you don't want to hear this because he's sick of hearing me talk about carnivore. I said, but I don't even need to wear sunglasses anymore. I only wear them if it's a glare in my eyes and I'm driving. Like I don't want to wear them. And then mentally, I know circadian rhythm wise, I want the sun to come in during the day because it's sending all the correct signals to my brain about being alert and awake during daylight hours. So I have the mental part of it. I also I don't, and I have very light blue eyes. I don't squint like I used to in the sunlight. It's pretty amazing.
Do you look at the sun every day? Do you do any of the body hacks? Do you do the red light therapy? Do
Okay.
you wear the orange blue
I
blockers?
have blue blockers. I put them on at 8 o'clock at night because we watch Netflix before we go to bed, and I'm on the computer, and I don't want to just like for 2 hours stop, because I think I'm addicted to my phone and my computer. I mean, I could just read a book, but I'm wearing blue blockers, and I know it helps my sleep, and I know mentally that I'm telling my body, it's dark time. I'm not eating, and the sun is down and I'm blocking. Grounding, I live in South Florida. We're always barefoot anyway. I have a concrete slab with tile outside the front yard. I'm always out in my bare feet. So I know I'm grounding. We go to the beach a lot. So I never knew what it was. And now I know what it is. So every time I step on the ground with my bare feet, I'm like, I'm grounding. I'm lowering my blood pressure. Right. And it's true. There's a whole theory behind that with grounding. What else am I hacking? I changed my water. I put a reverse osmosis filter, a triple or quadruple filter under my kitchen sink. I installed it myself. It cost a lot of money, but I think it's worth it with its own little dispenser. It's taking out the fluoride, all the trace elements that are bad. And then I'm adding Redmond Relight to electrolyte my drinking water that I carry around with me every day. That's ice cold. And what else did I hack? I threw out all my Teflon pans. I only use wooden spatulas. I won't use, or metal. I won't use the plastic spatulas. I have Tupperware, but I'll only put cold stuff in it. I will never reheat anything in the plastic. I learned about plastic and bisphenol A. Just everything. I try to get plastics as much out of my life as possible, that I have control over. So basically, I'm trying to take control of the things that I have control over and making incremental changes. And I don't wear suntan lotion anymore. I change my deodorant. I change my shampoo. I change my soap to tallow soap. All these little hacks, really, I think they're little and they all add up and they make a big difference, as well as eating properly for amazing health. And I think of the average guy or girl out there that's not doing any of this, wearing the makeup and all the suntan lotion and the hairspray and the lotion and the creams and the perfume or the cologne, and drinking bottled water, and eating all the food in the I just think of what a difference, what a contrast compared to how I'm living my life. And I think I notice a huge difference from before.
I have no idea if I am noticing a difference, but what I do know is I'm no longer stacking the toxins.
Yes.
Because you might not feel it. You might not feel your dish soap. You might not feel your laundry detergent. You might not feel the nail polish, but it is stacking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is causing autoimmune illnesses through the roof. Metabolic issues are through the roof. Hormone issues through the roof. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have a bandwidth that's very wide when we're in our teens and 20s. We can get away with a lot of stuff, and we don't feel it, and we tend to be healthier. But when we hit our 30s, 40s, and 50s, our bandwidth gets narrower, and those things add up, they stack up. You start to feel it, aches, pains. People start feeling old. And we're told, oh, I'm almost 60. I'm supposed to feel that way. Right? I'm not supposed to be able to bend down and tie my sneaker with going, ugh, right? And that's not true. That is not true. We are not supposed to feel that way for a very, very long time. And we start to feel that way because we have lost that ability. Our liver isn't as efficient. Our kidneys are not as efficient filtering out all these toxins, and they're toxifying us, and we're feeling, chemically toxic. We're feeling achy, irritable when we have, and people just don't know because they don't know. They're in a fog. They're in a fog of their own eating and living. And I don't know how to. You and I are hoping that maybe somebody's going to watch this video and it's going to plant a seed, and it's going to take them further and further and further, and they're going to come out of that fog. Take the red pill, the blue pill, and you're going to realize and wake up and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've been doing this to myself. And then we make changes. And these are free or very inexpensive changes. And education is free. YouTube is free. You've got to watch all the ads and everything and hit skip, but we're not paying a company big bucks for a product, right? For good health. And I just love that aspect of it because it's real.
There's very little to buy here. You buy meat. And preferably in our community, you buy it from your neighbor.
If you can. Yeah.
Yeah, if that's a thing. I mean, preferably you're buying local. So this isn't like some big amazing sales thing. One thing with the getting older is, how is your brain? Because we're being told it's totally normal to start losing brain function. But it used to be that we had these elders that we went to for wisdom and knowledge. How has your brain felt any different since going carnivore?
All right. I tell this story. When I went keto and then ketovore, I was still teaching, and we have to recertify every 5 years to keep our certification as a public school teacher. So my 5 years, at that point was up at that time. I recertified every 5 years, and I hated doing this. I had to take classes, had to do online courses, I had to write papers, submit them. Then you take the final exam. If you didn't pass, you had to keep taking it. I hated it. And this last time was like taking candy from a baby. I'm like, why? And my comprehension was through the roof. My focus was dead on. I wrote the paper, the most fluent, most beautiful thing. It's like I can write. Maybe I should write a book. I have this ability now. Where did this come from? And I passed the test. I aced the fun. I mean, I got the credits, and I'm like, that was weird. Oh my gosh, what a contrast from all the other 5 years before when I had to retake this. This has to be my way of eating that has given me mental clarity, mental focus. I'm able to find my words and express myself. And I really do believe that when we are not eating properly, the sugar, the way it glycates our cells and can cause insulin resistance anywhere in the body, it can cause insulin resistance up here. And a lot of doctors are now terming Alzheimer's as a type 3 diabetes. PCOS is sometimes termed as a type 4 diabetes, polycystic ovarian. It's all related back to the insulin resistance over many decades of excess starch, carbs, and sugar. The body can't handle it anymore and resists it. And it's the same thing with the brain. The brain loves ketones. It has a choice. And let's say there's equal amount of glucose and equal amount of ketones, it will choose the ketones over the glucose if it has a choice. And so this is why our brains are firing on all cylinders when we're eating properly, and why we feel well.
Okay, my last question is, have you had any blood work done? Because people are under the assumption you've been doing this for a while. Are you about to die?
Good question. I get a physical once a year. I did before keto carnivore, and I still do it because I want to see my numbers. I'm very different now. I go into the doctor's office. I'm going to do it again. I have an appointment in about 2 weeks, actually, for my annual. And I go in with a book from Dr. Ken Berry and Kim Howerton called, what's it called? Something about labs, Common Sense Labs. And I open to the pages that I've earmarked, and I say, after the doctor does the physical for me, he needs to do the prescription to order the blood labs. This is what I want. I want a PSA because I'm a guy. I want to see how my prostate specific antigen is. I want a hemoglobin A1C. I know I don't have diabetes, but I want to see what my HbA1c is. I want a fasting insulin because that's the most important marker of all the blood markers, and they will not order it. So I often have to pay for that on my own, and insurance won't cover it. I don't care. I'm going to pay for it on my own. And then I get, there's a standard list for all the liver enzymes and the kidney filtration rate and all of that stuff. So I get all my blood labs come, and I have them from the last 10 years, and I can pull them all, like the last 7 or 8, I can pull them all up on my phone and go from year to year. It's really cool to compare. And everything has improved. My vitamin B has gone up, things have gone up. My cholesterol skyrocketed. I used to be, my LDL used to be 120, and they said that was high, and they wanted me to be on a statin, which I was on in my 30s, which gave me body aches and cramps. I took myself off of the statins then, but now my LDL is almost 400. My HDL is almost 90. My triglycerides are all the way down into the 40s. And I don't know if you know about the trifecta and everything and the lean mass hyperresponder concept, but my cholesterol is not from the food I'm eating. It's mostly my body is making it for a reason, because it's making my bile, which breaks down my fats that I'm eating. It's making all my testosterone and my other hormones. It's producing really strong myelin sheathing, the insulation around my axons and my neurons. It's helping me make vitamin D. It's doing a lot of things for me. And a lot of the newer studies are showing that longevity is associated with a higher LDL at my age range. So I'm not worried at all about that. Then I went and got a coronary artery calcium scan, where they scan my heart to see how much calcium is in there. And the optimal score is a 0. And I have a 0. That was last year at age 58. So I'm really confident in my health, and I want to continue eating this way because I know that all my markers are perfect. My HbA1c is 5.2. I told you some of my other numbers. I'm, other than the cholesterol, which is not bad. Everybody thinks it's bad, but because my triglycerides are low and my HDL is high, the LDL, I'm a lean mass hyperresponder. I don't know if I'm so lean, but my cholesterol, I don't have any plaquing, so I know I'm safe. And I'm going to continue to eat this way because I don't know what the alternative would be. Well, I don't want to lower my cholesterol. And that's a hard argument to have for people because so many people are like, their feet are in cement about cholesterol.
Yes.
We are brainwashed about saturated fat and cholesterol. I have to have this discussion with so many people, and I have so much knowledge, and I have to start at the base where they don't know. And I have to slow down and be the teacher. And I get all excited because I want to say, you got to understand what I got to understand. And and they can't possibly grasp it yet. They don't know who Ansel Keys was, and the 7 country study, all the things that went wrong and all the things that we learned that were incorrect. So my blood labs going to get another set. They're going to be as perfect as they were the year before and the year before, I'm sure, but I like comparing them and seeing them. I could pull them up right now and show you on the screen if you wanted to. It's kind of cool to have them on hand, in my health app, my iPhone.
I just had blood run and I can't wait for it to come back. Like I'm going to call them as soon as we're done here because the answers are in. It just didn't feed to my portal for some reason.
You're gonna stare at them and you're gonna Google, the different things.
Oh,
What is
the
it?
book.
Oh, okay.
I got the book. What is it again?
Common Sense Labs.
Common Sense Labs. I got the book this time. Oh, I'm
It's
very
worth it.
excited to see because
Use
I
it.
eat a lot of sardines.
Oh,
And people
good.
are like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna have horrible heavy metals."
Well,
So
now
I'm
I
very
did learn. I
excited.
did learn recently, just yesterday, or even this morning. Somebody was talking to me on Twitter, on X, about sardines. If your sardines are sourced from the Baltic Sea or something, there's more mercury in there. If they're sourced in Scandinavia, there's less mercury. So it's like, oh my gosh, really? See, I'm still learning. I ran over to my cupboard. I pulled it out to see what the source was. So you still have to watch the heavy metal toxins, but with smash fish, salmon, mackerel, anchovies, herring, and sardines, they're all small. And what do they eat? They eat kelp. They're eating plant matter, which has no mercury or anything in it. So you're safe. usually.
Not going back is because of education. It's because of channels like yours.
Oh,
I
good.
don't wanna go back because I don't find it appealing to be sick. I don't find it appealing to be inflamed. I don't find it appealing to know that I'm killing my metabolism by eating processed foods. So I'd like to show your channel so people can go out and find it and watch. You have cooking videos, you have interviews, and you have educational videos. And I believe sometimes you're live with the masterminds
Mhm.
and you're live on your own. There's a lot of good stuff in here.
I'm trying to put a variety in there. I'm working on 2 videos now, what I eat in a week. So I'm compiling
Mm.
pictures. I'm gonna make that. How I work out in a week, I'm compiling that so I can make a video on
Oh,
that.
I like that.
So
Because
it's
part of this is getting stronger too.
it is, and we could do a whole nother topic on working out. What works best for different people because we have to move. We also have to take care of our emotional health, manage stress, whether it's prayer or meditation or breathing. We have to take care of that too. As a teacher, I know, believe me, you have to manage your stress or else it will eat you up alive and it raises your blood sugar and other problems, your cortisol. So managing stress is a big part of it as well. So yeah, I try to get a variety on my channel, and I also push it out to not just Instagram but also X and LinkedIn. Believe it or not, a lot of people watch my stuff from LinkedIn, even though it's not a job search thing. And the new one, Threads, which was supposed to be the alternative for X, and Facebook. I'm also on Facebook. So I take the same stuff and shoot it out to all of those, hoping I can reach a lot of people. And my channel's growing. I'm approaching 3,500, 4,000. So I had to restart it last January because I lost it all because I deleted everything by accident because I was trying to fix something and everything disappeared. So I started from scratch in January. Yeah, it was like a death in the family. I was mourning. I was depressed. I'm like, oh God. But I now have more subscribers than I did in January. So I'm happy that I'm reaching people.
That sounds like something I would do. I don't know if you ever watched Lioness Lifestyle Live, but now on multiple occasions, instead of exiting out early, I've accidentally hit end recording. So
Oh,
the
does
whole
that
live went black.
and nobody got it? You mean it didn't record?
Well, it was a live. I ended
Oh,
the live.
you chopped everybody off by accident. Okay.
Instead of exiting out of the live, I ended the live.
All
And
right.
then there
See.
were the funniest comments that said, "Don't hit the red button. What does this do?" You had a "what does this button do" moment.
Oh my gosh. I am new to StreamYard as well. So I'm doing my third live tomorrow night. You're welcome to join if you want. If you want, I can give you the link. And I'm not very good at all the settings either. I'm like, oh, what do I do? I click leave studio if I need to come back in but not end it? I learned that. But all the other little ditties. I am a master at making the worst mistake and learning from it. I lost all my channel. I got a kidney stone. You name it, I've done it, and I could tell people not to do certain things because I've been there.
If you first, I'm gonna give my answer, but if you could give 2 tips to a new person, what would they be? My first one would be, after you get into this, go to a meetup. You are not alone. You feel
Oh,
alone, but you're not, and here is John and I and some of our new
yeah.
friends at Hack Your Health this year, and so go to a meetup. What would you tell people? 2 things, brand new.
Get on a get on a Facebook group or a Twitter group, Carnivore. We are all out there sharing our experiences, encouraging one another. You'll hear about these wonderful symposiums and gatherings that if you want to, you can travel to them, and one may be in your city. Invest in it. It is an investment in your health, your future, and you meet new friends and all those people we ate together. I mean, it just was I already paid for next year's, which is not even, it's next November. I paid for it already. That's how excited I am to go to these. So any new people, you don't want to be in this alone. You want to be in it with everybody else. Come on to our lives, watch our Facebooks and learn and send emails and request things. Say, hey, can I talk to you? And people will talk with you. and stream with you, and you're not alone for sure, and you have all the support in the world, and you don't need to buy a book, you don't need to pay for a program. I mean, there's lots of great books out there. I bought a couple, but it's a wonderful support system. All these people, yeah,
Most of us respond to every single message we get,
I
and
do.
that's free. And so, absolutely, I agree. So, well, John, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on my channel. I can't wait to see you at Hack Your Health. Maybe we'll see each other sooner. Who knows?
Hopefully sooner. Yep,
But I
definitely,
really
Adrian.
enjoyed this.
All
If
right.
you guys like this, please like, subscribe, and share. And be sure to go over to John's channel and subscribe. Have a great day.
Thank
Bye.
you so much.